Do not take product if you are hypersensitive.
Motherfucker! Alright. Oh, hey, Internet. Welcome back to the Intoxicated Podcast. This week, we do something a little bit different. This week, I decided to get some friends together, Corey and Evan, who you already know if you've listened to the Oscar episode and the Room episode. And if you haven't, definitely go listen to those episodes. We decided to get together and talk about a specific show. Not just any show. This is a show that's extremely close to my heart. It is probably my favorite show of all time. And that's really saying something because I watch a lot of TV. We are going to talk about HBO's The Leftovers. The Leftovers is a show that's based off of the book by Tom Perrotta. It was created by him, Tom Perrotta, and Damon Lindelof, who, as you all know, did Lost. Now, The Leftovers has 2 seasons behind it, and it's going into its 3rd and final season. Now, the reason I wanted to do this episode now is because the premiere of season 3 does start on Sunday, April 16th on HBO. So I wanted this to be my ode to The Leftovers, my love letter to this amazing show. First half will be spoiler-free. I will have timestamps below to let you know when the spoilers will start. So if you haven't watched the show yet and you're thinking about it, consider this like your recommendation to watch The Leftovers. Me, Corey, and Evan discuss what we liked and what we didn't like about the first 2 seasons. Then afterwards, we just go into a full-blown discussion about the show. We do get a lot of fan interaction from the Leftovers subreddit. Now, this is a subreddit that I want to tap into way more going forward. If you liked this, if you like The Leftovers, if you like hearing us talk about it, please let us know, because we are thinking about doing an offshoot of Intoxicated, which is weekly recaps of Season 3, The Leftovers. As always, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, anywhere you find podcasts. And make sure you are following the podcast on Facebook, Intoxicated Podcast, Instagram, also Intoxicated Podcast, and on Twitter, it is at @in_toxicated. I hope you guys enjoy it. I know it's a little bit different. I promise we will get back to the bread and butter of Intoxicated, which is drunk conversations with friends about life very soon. But because of timing and because I love this show so much and it's a huge part of my life, I had to be selfish and geek out. So I hope you guys like it. This is our love letter to The Leftovers. So let's get into this. So we are here with Corey and Evan again. I can't seem to get rid of these guys. Like, I try to have other guests on, and they're just like, no,
it's our podcast
you cannot.
Yeah. It's really just us and using different names. Silly hats.
So yeah, Corey and Evan are here. Now, this is my chance to be super selfish on this podcast because I want to talk about my favorite TV show.
You should say that Jen's here, too.
Also, Jen's here. Jen's going to be the, whatchamacallit, the peanut gallery?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
The popcorn gallery?
You'll throw in some comments here and there if you want.
The silent majority.
She's going to join here in a second, so.
Yeah, she's going to join in. She has her own thoughts on the show.
And I'd just like to say, it's also very rude to say that you didn't introduce Gwen, who's here from The Guilty Remnant. Gwen, do you want to say a few words? Yeah, she's writing it down right now. She's happy to be here. And yes, so she's ready to go too. So
she looks very excited. So yeah, I guess normally we start with friendship origin story. You guys already know these guys. They're 2 good friends of mine. And what I thought I'd do this time is start with a TV origin story, because this is quite interesting.
Yeah, how we got into this.
Yeah, because it's all thanks to you.
Yeah.
Corey West. So when I met Corey, I told him I was a Lost fan. And he was like, oh my God, I loved Lost too. And I'm pretty sure what happened was that I posted the trailer for The Leftovers, and you commented being like, I really think you'd like this. It's like Lindelof. It's right up your alley. Like, you should definitely check it out. Yeah. So essentially what happened was that I checked out the pilot, and I stuck it out. I stuck out the show. But obviously we'll get to it in the episode, but there was a moment that made me stick with the show in the long term, and it hooked me. So it's all thanks to Corey that I got into this.
Yeah, and I guess I should say I got into it by the first trailer that had, I think it's James Blake, the name of the song, Retroactive. I think it's called Retroactive. They played that, like that first trailer just still gives me goosebumps just from that song and that trailer, and I was like hooked basically from just one trailer. Like I was like, yeah, I'm on board with this show.
Big time. It has that like mysterious aspect to it that I think Lost had, and obviously Lost went on for how many seasons? 6, 7,
6,
8.
7.
I should know this.
You should definitely know this.
I know I should. It's one of my favorite shows. I will say though, why I'm talking about The Leftovers and not Lost is because I think The Leftovers might be my favorite and Lost might be my second favorite. But anyways, we're gonna talk about The Leftovers. So whole idea is that if you haven't seen it yet, or if you're thinking about watching it, we do want to try to convince you to check it out. It's about to go into its 3rd season. It's the 3rd and final season of the show. So this is not like a 10-season commitment, or it's not this big commitment. It means 3 seasons, it's 30 episodes. So hopefully by the end of this, you will want to check out season 1 and 2, and maybe you'd be able to catch up for Sunday the 16th, which is season 3.
Yeah, and I guess we'll have also some people listening in who love the show. I say don't judge me, because I think we'll get to it a little later, but we put on Reddit kind of last minute to see if we'll get a few people's opinions on the show, and I was like, oh god, these people know way more about this show than I do, even though I love this show. So
big time.
Yeah. So
it's we have kind of varying degrees, I guess, of fandom. I would say I'm probably the biggest fan out of all 3 of us.
Probably.
Yeah, I'd say that.
And I would say that I kind of forced Evan to watch it.
I'm probably, was the most reluctant person to watch the show. I'd heard about it, and I had Sarah explain what it was about to me, and my reaction was just like, well, that sounds stupid. Really, like the idea of the guilty remnant, just seemed absurd to me. So,
and I think it was kind of a unique thing where I was like your TV buddy. I was kind of like your Leftovers guide in a way.
Yeah. You're my Virgil.
I was your Virgil, yeah. And I also, I had a roommate, Andrea. Hey, Andrea. I got her into it as well. So I think...
Yeah, she loves it.
I think it's a show that I think right away whether or not you're going to like it or not, and whether or not you're going to keep up with it. So
before we get too far into it, we got to bring up our drinks.
Yes.
So obviously this is Intoxicated, so we have a different drink every time. I say this like I'm the host. I'm just...
that's his plan. When I die, he's going to take it over.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for it to get big so I can be like, sue you over the rights of the name.
That's true. You totally could sue me.
Well, Sarah came up with it, so
yeah. Okay, so one major point in The Leftovers is that there is a group, I guess you could say cult, called the Guilty Remnant, and they dress all in white. So I got to thinking, what kind of alcohol would go with this? Because there's not many references to booze in the show, and I just thought White Russians. So we're drinking White Russians.
In hindsight, we should have did Great White, which would have just killed us.
What's that?
No,
Great White's like a terrible like a wine that you drank when you were underage, and it's terrible.
It's like 30% or something stupid like that.
I think it is wine, but I don't. It's super high in alcohol.
Technically wine,
and tastes like utter crap.
Well, I'm happy with my choice.
Oh yeah, I love White Russians.
So cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Yes, White Russians.
I love White Russians in moderation.
This is a booze I can actually drink.
What's that, Gwen? Oh, cheers. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so like I said, we're going to keep this first kind of maybe 20 minutes, half hour, spoiler free. We're just going to talk about what we liked, what we didn't like about the first 2 seasons. So I guess what I will do is I'll just give a basic premise. I'll just set up the show for people who might not know much about it. Essentially, the show kicks off with a scene where essentially 2% of the world's population just vanishes, disappears out of nowhere. And that's kind of the opening scene. That kind of sets it up. We then kick into Kevin Garvey, who's the main character, and it's 3 years later.
Yeah.
Not a spoiler, but I will say there's a great jogging scene in the pilot.
I feel like we should say, too, that this is based on a book, too, by...
Tom Peretta.
Yeah, Tom Peretta. So he wrote, the movie, the novel Election, Little Children. Those two were turned into movies. I guess those two most popular. I mean, I guess two that were turned into, I shouldn't say popular, but Election and Little Children turned. Which Little Children, I think it has the same kind of feel, The Leftover. The Election that's kind of hilarious. If you guys remember Election.
I do, and I never realized you wrote that.
Yeah, so I mean, I read the book, The Leftovers, and there's a lot still intact from the book. Kevin Garvey's, I forget what he does. He's not a cop in it. He's a lot older. He's retired from whatever he's doing. Then he goes to run for mayor. That's one of the most major changes, I feel like. But for the most part, the book's very similar to season 1. But backstory.
Yeah. No, that's good, because I didn't get through the book, and that's not because I didn't like the story, because obviously this is my favorite TV show. I'm just not a reader. So no, that's good that you read it. Because that's definitely, I think I got through maybe half of it.
Because reading is fundamental.
Reading is important.
I know it's important. I'm just very ADD.
She just stressed that we do endorse reading.
I would rather watch Justin Theroux jog and see his package flopping around in there.
Well, I guess you should be excited for season 3, because, not to jump ahead, but I saw a quote today that says that Lindelof said that this season's going to have more dongs than Game of Thrones.
Stop.
Yeah, he did.
Me and Evan were talking about that last night when we were watching, because there's a lot of moments where we almost see Justin Theroux.
Yeah, he likes showing his butt a lot. Like he's
ripped. So.
And I'm pretty sure he has some low-hanging fruit, because I think you see he has the kind of Tommy Wiseau shot from behind, and you see his danglers hanging.
I ain't complaining. He's on my top 5. So, but yeah, so we open with him, and it's kind of an introduction to the Garveys, who I'll just set it up. Essentially, Kevin Garvey is
chief of Mapleton,
New York.
Which also, I'm like, he's pretty young to be the chief, but I guess that's artistic liberties.
He inherited the position from his father.
Yeah, nepotism.
Clearly, that's how these things work.
Right. So essentially, you know right away that the show is going to be about the aftermath of the departure, and how these characters deal with the fact that this very strange, random, unexplained event happened. And we kind of see that Kevin has a daughter named Jill. So then you learn more about their family, where they're at, and how they've kind of dealt with this. And essentially, season 1 is about that, plus the tension of the GR, the Guilty Remnant. So they are the cult in the town. They dress all in white. They just disturb everyone. They stand outside your house. They bug you.
They silently antagonize people by constantly smoking and silently judging people.
And wearing white after Labor Day.
Yes, and wearing white after Labor Day, which infuriates people in the States.
Yeah.
Smoking.
True fact.
They don't talk, so they write on pads of paper. And yeah, so season 1. So I guess that kind of sets it up as to what it's about.
Season 1's kind of it's very simplistic on what's going on. It's more about the loss of these people, or like the constant fear now that people, like everybody has their thing. Like it's only, I shouldn't say only, but it's 2% of the population. So maybe some families weren't affected by this, but it's always that like, what's happening? Why this happened? Will it happen again? Like, so now it's a study of society being basically in fear, or being sad and in fear of what's going on. It's kind of like, and how people are reacting to that grief.
Exactly. Yeah. And I will say, like, spoiler free, but I think how people departed too has a lot to do with that grief, because it'll actually show you in season 1 the various characters and what they experienced the day of the departure.
Yeah.
So what they're experiencing that day, and then these people disappear, and you're like, am I accountable for this? Yeah. What did I do?
We get 2 versions of that too in season 1, because it obviously starts that way, but then we get like, now that when we get established with all the characters later on, it shows the departure again and like what they were doing during that day. So,
which is really cool.
Yeah.
So I think what we should do is go around the table and just talk about like the high points. So what we really liked about season 1 and why we think people should watch. So I'll go first. So season 1, I definitely think is the darker season. I think it has a tone of being a little more somber, a little more serious, a little more ragey is kind of the word that I would use.
Okay.
It's a little darker, I think. That's not a bad thing. I think the high points of it is that it was a bold season of television. I think that the show takes risks and does things that make you go, holy crap, they just went there.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it kind of shows these other like little mysteries that come out. So yes, this big event happened and it was huge, but these other little mysteries come out of it too that start to intrigue you, and you're like, what the heck is going on here? And it's that confusion, that darkness, and what made me love season 1 the most was how these characters dealt with their pain. Because these characters all dealt with their pain in different ways.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what sold me on it was that I connected with the characters.
Yeah.
And it made those moments of confusion, it made you want to keep watching because you want to make sure that these characters end up okay in the end. And for me personally, that's always meant more to me than explanations of what's going on.
Yeah, but I think they've been very upfront that they're not going to explain departure. But that's where you can kind of draw that Lindelof comparison to Lost in a weird way. Like, they're almost based same thing. Like, I had no problem, not to get on a small Lost thing, but I had no problem the way Lost ended. A lot of people did, but I came to an understanding very early that it was how the island affected people, not necessarily what the island is all about. And that's kind of the exact same thing with The Leftovers. It's not what happened to these people, it's how do the people that are still there deal with what has happened and having no real answers. I was just going to say about season, because you brought up the season 1, season 2 thing. Season 1 is, I think, it's a weird way, in a weird way, it is darker, but it's almost like dealing with your grief. That's kind of season 1, and by the end, it's almost like it starts off in the worst possible way, and then it gets more hopeful as it hits the end of the season, where kind of season 2 was like, it starts off very hopeful, and then like is deconstructed at that point. Like, they're almost total opposites in season, but both masterfully done.
Well, I mean, there's some things which happen, I think, which at the end of season 2, which are pretty hopeful.
Yeah, well, I have thoughts on the end. I won't go into now. That's maybe a more spoilery thing, but also you can even tell almost the way they set it up. Like, season 1's intro is like this very ominous music with like a chapel being painted of like, and it sets chapel being painted of the departure, and it's very sets the tone of the show. Where you get to season 2 and it's kind of a weird folky song, like the intro's more
kind of whimsical,
in a weird way. So it's like they obviously know what they're doing. They know how to play with how to set the audience up. So
exactly,
very interesting. Yeah.
I mean, good point with the music, because that was my next point about season 1. The music in this show, like, I think what makes the show cinematic in a way is a bunch of different things. I think it's the writing, I think it's the characters, and I think it's the music and like the actual filming, the cinematography.
I think is all like really masterful.
Yeah, it's all like the way the music plays out in the show just gives me chills. You know, like they'll repeat certain scores during certain parts, and that's what invokes that kind of emotion and being intrigued in it. Huge. Music's huge in this show.
Absolutely. And a show that uses like good music, or uses music well, I should say, you know, like really sort of like steps it up a notch.
Big time. And I mean, yeah, like the first theme song was very dark, for like what you said, ominous.
Yeah.
And that kind of sets the tone for the whole show. Yeah. Ev, any more thoughts about season 1? What you liked about it?
Well, without going into too much detail, season 1 is it like, I don't think the show is necessarily for everyone. I think that's certainly true. But I think if you can get through, I shouldn't even say get through, but if you enjoy season 1, then like it's it's certainly something that you will really, really should stick with because
it pays off.
It takes you on a wild ride.
Yeah.
And like it never stops making you just go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I think that's what really sold me on the show was actually Kevin Garvey himself, because I felt all those moments where he just is confronted with these like seemingly impossible things, you know, and he just almost says like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, like he's so bewildered, and it just echoes my own thoughts.
Exactly.
And,
you
know, and Sarah can confirm watching the show with me that like how many the amount of moments where I'm saying this is stupid, or like in Kevin Garvey will say like that's dumb.
Yeah.
You know, it's
kind of self-aware. I think it's more self-aware in season 2. I think season 2 it's way more self-aware.
Yeah. Before we get into season 2, maybe we should just go over some of the performances in season 1.
Yes, let's do it.
So, I mean, obviously, Ev touched on it, but it's Justin Theroux as Kevin Garvey is amazing. Like, I remember
ripped tiger of a human being.
Yeah, but I also remember like I've seen Justin Theroux in a lot of stuff, and I was like, yeah, he's that classic like good-looking male lead that like. But I never saw any range from him. Like the only things I can remember him being in is his run on Parks and Rec for a while.
Oh right.
What? I never. You on Parks and Rec?
Yep.
Yeah. He dated Leslie Knope for a while on that. Yeah.
He's 2 episodes on Sex and the City.
No, I did not. I do not know him from that. He played the DJ in. This is just a fun fact, but he played the DJ in Zoolander, but you can barely tell because he has the dreadlocks and like the scarred up face, and played that DJ again in Tropic Thunder, which I always thought was really funny.
Which is interesting because you know he wrote or co-wrote Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, and he co-wrote. I think he co-wrote Iron Man 2
and Zoolander 2.
Yeah. So I mean,
which I don't see.
But I was just gonna say, so to get the performance that he gives in this show is almost shocking.
Yeah.
With a subject matter like this that's so dense, he does an amazing job for a guy that this is the first time I've seen him really act, like flex his acting chops kind of thing.
He's kind of an underrated actor.
Yeah. Because
I think if more people watch the show, they would appreciate his acting a lot more.
Oh, definitely. Also, we have Lori Garvey.
Lori Garvey, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Played by
her name, yeah.
Amy Brenneman. Yeah.
Right.
Who? This is terrible to say. Well, I should say she's really good in it. Like a lot of her acting is, well, it's hinged on whatever, but we'll get into it later. But she's really good in it. And the one thing that kind of ruined this show on me though is that I used to have the biggest crush on her, and then to see her like so disheveled in her hair,
gnarled and like smoky and frizzy.
Ruined it.
Well, because we watched an interview, like a recent interview with her on a red carpet, and Evan was like, "Oh, damn, she cleans up."
Yeah,
because you're right. Like in the show, she's a lot more disheveled.
Liv Tyler, I love Liv Tyler.
Yeah,
she's not the greatest actress in the world. She's okay in this, like,
yeah. I will say that I think obviously Justin Theroux is amazing, but Carrie fucking Coon as Nora Durst.
Yeah.
Possibly my second favorite. Possibly she's up there for my favorite.
Yeah,
I think she is my favorite. I think I would put Nora Durst and Carrie Coon above Kevin Garvey and Justin Theroux.
Yeah, she has a lot of weight. She comes from theater too. Like she
really?
Before this, she hadn't done a lot of acting. Yeah, she came from theater. And her career seemed to pick up a little bit after that. I mean, rightfully so. She's amazing. But I think she was in Gone Girl. She played...
she was the sister in Gone Girl. Gone Girl.
She's in the new season of Fargo. She's the lead of the new season of Fargo. Yeah.
I see her on the TVs.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, she's done a lot. She's really good.
I should also say Nora Durst's character in the movie she plays a woman who lost her entire family.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a great standalone episode in season 1 all about her. And it's one of my favorites of the entire season. She's just so good in this show. She's a spitfire. She plays that rage and that pain so good.
Yeah.
And she's so like just
unrelenting.
Yeah, just doesn't give a fuck. I mean, you lost your whole family.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like...
do love that one moment in season 1.
Yes.
When, I think it was the episode called The Garveys at Their Best.
Yeah. Was that when it shows how she lost her family?
It shows, like, everyone's, like, what they were doing, like, on
the day of the departure. Yeah.
And that was an incredible episode of television, for sure.
It's one of my favorite. That's
Yeah.
who I think is the standout performance. I think it's Carrie Coon.
A few other just notable, we'll go through quick. We should say Christopher, I can never say his name. Christopher
Eccleston,
yeah. As he plays Matt Jameson. He's the priest. I think
the doctor.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, Doctor, former Doctor. I think he's amazing in everything. He has such a subtly good performance in this.
Especially considering if you hear how he really sounds and the accent that he has to put on.
Yeah.
You know, every single episode. Where is, what's her name? Patty?
Oh, yeah.
Because I think...
Andow.
Endowed. She killed it. Like...
Yeah.
But, I mean... You know, like it.
You hate her so much.
Well, but at the same time, like it's such a juxtaposition because you hate her, but you just kind of sympathize and feel bad for her.
Yeah.
Especially like,
and that probably comes out more in season 2.
You're right. It does. But like at first, you know, like she plays like an excellent foil.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And we should say Emily Mead, she played Amy, which she didn't make it to season 2, but I thought she was really good.
Amy, is that the waif who just like inhabits the Garvey household?
Yes.
And like it mysteriously doesn't, you don't know if her family exists?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to know her backstory.
Yeah, we need a standalone story on that girl.
That's the thing, and that's the thing I think, I mean, like, and I did it with both seasons, but there are these standalone episodes that are so good in this show.
Yeah, and so also just quickly, Margaret Quarterly? I don't, like, Quarterly. I don't.
Quality.
Yeah. She plays Jill. She's I think she does great at this, doing the, like...
Angsty teenager?
The angsty teen, like, she's Andy McDowell's daughter, which I was like, that's
who?
Cool.
Oh.
Andy McDowell.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I think she does a really good job, but she's
That's
supposed to be
show.
like more, most of that. Then we got Tommy Garvin, played by Chris. Like, I'm terrible with names. Like Zilaka. Yeah, whatever.
He's pretty good.
He's good.
He's hot.
Chris Zilka.
And lastly, we should say Scott Glenn as Kevin Garvey Sr. He's amazing. He always plays this kind of like really just intense human being.
Yeah.
Wacky.
And the one guy I want to bring up the most, who actually may be my favorite part of season 1, is Patterson Joseph. He plays Henry Wayne Gilchrist.
Oh.
The guy who hugs the pain away.
Holy Wayne.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the reason I'm blown away, I'm a big fan. There's a British sitcom called Peep Show. That's amazing. It's very popular in Britain. In that show, he plays a character called Johnson, who's like, and it's a comedy. I've never seen him outside this role, which he plays like kind of this boss who's very proper, but like kind of just demanding and just very weird. He's hilarious. He's amazing in that. So to see him in The Leftovers,
it's a total shock.
Yeah, where he is basically like in an earlier podcast when I said Viola Davis is made of tears. Well,
he's the male version.
He's the male version because he is like he season 1 he does so great because, not really a spoiler, but he basically claims to say he can take people's pain away from any pain they have. He can take away with a hug, and you're under the impression that he's taking so much pain away from people. He's just overwhelmed with sadness. Like at any moment, his acting is so good because he's just like he's bubbling over with just like sadness. Like and it looks like every single scene that he's in, he looks like he's on the verge of crying. Like it's insane.
Man.
Or seen
that guy who's on a Peep Show and Leftovers.
Yeah,
I know him from that Mitchell and Webb look.
Yeah,
which is another British comedy
Mitchell and
show.
Webb are the guys who do Peep Show too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's hilarious.
He is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and he's a great actor. Like, he is so like this guy is versatile because he's amazing. Like dramatic actor.
And also, that's number Wang.
Yeah. So those are a few. I'm probably missing some very standout characters, but that
wraps up the core.
It's a good, good overview.
Yeah. What are you? Just seeing if Gwen has anything to say about season 1.
Yeah, right.
No, she said we covered
even
most
after
of it.
we kind of bad talked the GR.
Yeah.
She seems cool with it.
Yeah. Well, she's just silently judging us anyway.
Can you stop smoking? By the way, there's a smoke-free building. She shook her head no, so perfect.
Okay, so I just have to deal with it.
Also, it may seem like Jen is part of the guilty remnant as well. She's been sitting at the table the whole time. She has. I should say she hasn't watched. She watched a few episodes. We're not going to spoil it, but there's one thing that just turned her off, and she hasn't watched it. But anything to say at all about season 1?
Would you recommend it?
I love it. Thank you.
Such a diplomat.
Yeah.
So we'll get to specific scenes and kind of spoilers in a second there. So we'll move on to season 2 and just kind of give our general thoughts on season 2. I mean, obviously you're going to start with season 1 anyways. So if you're going to watch it, you're going to watch season 1.
Yeah. I guess more briefly,
I think we should really mention Janelle Maloney's role in I think she did a really awesome performance as Mary Jameson. In the first season.
Yeah.
In particular.
Yeah, that's right. I guess that's not really spoiled. She's a woman who she was in a car accident and she's like...
Catatonic?
Essentially catatonic. So she plays Matt Jameson's wife. Yeah. Mary. Yeah.
There's a lot of
eye movement.
A lot of sitting and not talking.
No
blinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So you got season 2 notes.
Yeah. So season 2. So this is the spoiler-free section of season 2. So season 2 of The Leftovers is my favorite season of television that I have ever watched. And I mean that seriously. I would be buried with this season. If someone was like, you need to take a season down the grave with you, it would be season 2, because it is just a cinematic journey and it's amazing. So
a real emotional
just really briefly, I'll just say that we're in a new location.
Can I say one thing before you say that? If I'm going to be buried with something, I would want to be buried with every season of The Big Bang Theory, so I could take it to hell with me. Anyway, continue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to hell.
Hey-oh.
Oh, I got the bell! We've been leaving out the bell.
That's a good bazinga.
Oh, God, no.
Corey does not like Big Bang Theory.
Neither do I.
It's too close to the truth.
That is blasphemy.
So I'll just set up season 2, just very vaguely. We're in a new location.
Whatly?
Vaguely?
Okay.
Is that not a word?
Yep.
No, totally not a word. You made that up.
Vaguely? More vague?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more
vague?
Yeah.
Okay. I would lose at Scrabble so hard with these guys. Anyways, we're in a new location, and we actually do meet a new family as well. And Jarden, what's special about Jarden is that it is a town where there was actually no departures at all.
Yeah.
So people flock there because they think it's sacred, and they think it's special, and they think they're going to be safe there because there was no departures, and Jarden's the name of the city, and Miracle, I think, is the name of the town.
We got Miracle.
And yeah, they have a creepy theme song.
Yeah. Also, for a while, I thought that it was just some weird drawl they had, and I thought the place was called Jordan. And I thought
me too. I made the same mistake.
I was like, everybody talks
Jarden.
Yeah.
So now Jarden. It's like, oh no, there actually is a place called Jarden.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so essentially Damon Lindelof did it again and made me fall in love with a bunch of characters because I really like this family as well. And this family is also entirely fucked up, despite the fact that they are in this quote-unquote special town that's supposed to be free of pain and, but in the end, they are not.
Very complex characters with conflicting motives.
Yeah, which I think that's kind of the season 2 overarching thing is that just because we didn't have departures doesn't mean that were perfect.
Exactly.
Like that, and they play with the subtlety of that as well. Like,
because they thought they were safe.
Yeah.
You know, like.
And essentially, it's more shit going down.
It's the Garvey family. I don't think that's too big of a spoiler. Whatever. They go to this place, Jarden. There's been no departures there. It's kind of this very touristy place. Also, it's very hard to move there because they're basically capitalizing on the fact that there's been 0 departures there.
Exactly.
Like, it's the one. It's this illusion of safety. Like, people are so scared of departure.
Community.
Yeah, that they like feel like they're protected at this place, and so it's just kind of like it's basically season 2. It's basically you think it's a perfect. They're in
Sanctuary.
a perfect place, and then it slowly starts to
And
fall apart.
Something happens in the first episode.
I would hope so. That's how
That-
TV works.
Nothing happened in the first episode.
Something happens that shakes the town up. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
And it makes these characters realize, okay, yeah, we're not safe, and yeah. And the Garveys come here kind of hoping to get away from their life, but it follows them. I'll just say that. Like, their baggage kind of follows them there. So
Yeah.
it's kind of more stuff with Kevin, and it just plays out in a masterful way. And at this point, we didn't know if there would be a season 3 of The Leftovers, so I will just say it wraps it up in kind of a really nice way in the end. It's very satisfying because the fate of the show was up in the air. So
I have opinions on that,
Okay.
but we'll get to.
we'll get to that
But I guess that is kind of season 2. Just we should
in a nutshell.
talk about the cast briefly about season 2. So obviously we're introduced to the Murphy family. So Regina King, I don't know. She's
that
amazing.
Erica?
Yes.
Yeah.
She is. I thought she's been an amazing actress for years.
That moment on the bridge with her daughter.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And like she's very the subtleties of her character, like subtleties of the show are amazing, but I think the show really got to she's another person that really got to bring her acting chops to it.
Big time.
And I think she may be my favorite person in season 2.
Yeah, like of the new people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or overall, I think
Really? Yeah.
season 2, like she was. I really liked her. Another character, John Murphy, is the husband.
I really enjoyed how traumatized and fucked up he was.
Yeah.
Like he was. It's like. Are you a good guy or are you a bad guy?
And he played that really good.
Yeah.
You didn't know if you were rooting for him or if you were against him.
But
Yeah.
he's doing the wrong things for what he feels like is the right reasons. That's what's perfect about his character. Like he totally believes what he's doing is benefiting everybody in Jarden.
Yeah.
We also have Michael Murphy, played by Jovan Apo.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was in Fences. Don't watch Fences. Watch the first 2 seasons of The Leftovers and not Fences.
If you really want to hear all about how much Sarah hates Fences, listen to the first episode of this podcast.
Oh, this is full circle. I know.
Jasmine Brown plays Evie Murphy. Yeah. She's really does. I think she's amazing. For what she had to do in it, she's very good. I think that's most of the new characters.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a few bit parts, but for the most part,
there's annoying rat lady.
Oh God.
That's not your baby.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. I think this is pretty much the end of our spoiler-free.
That's the end of this. But I'll just say that I would never recommend a season of television more than season 2. It is just. I've never had a show get in my head the way that this season did. I mean, season 1 was amazing as well, and whatever. But it was season 2 that really made me like stay up late at night. Browsing Reddit. The Leftover subreddit is a huge community, and I think that season really brought that subreddit to life because there was just so much discussion, so much thought.
Yeah, well, that's
so
like
many theories that go into it.
That's the Lindelof effect. I feel like he's great at putting out mysteries out into the universe, and people just love to try to like figure out what's next kind of thing.
Exactly. So we'll end our spoiler-free section, but I do want to say one last sentence, and it's actually from the Leftovers subreddit. We asked for some comments from you guys, and this one I think sums it up entirely. It is from NBTB on Leftovers subreddit, and he says, so my question was, what did you like about The Leftovers, or why people should watch? And he said, it rips my heart out of my chest, uses it to stub out a cigarette, and then shoves it back in, yet every week I ask for more.
Yeah.
So I think that is a good... Yeah. That's my recommendation. Not everyone can handle it, but if you think you're up for it, if you think you're up for a show that's going to make you think and kind of make you feel as well, watch these first 2 seasons.
Yeah. And also, this is kind of a trial run for us.
Yes.
As 3 Leftover fans, we're thinking even maybe taking this outside of the Intoxicated podcast and doing a podcast just based on the last few episodes of the Leftover season 3. So if this is something that you hear and you want, we'll be commenting on the Reddit post that we did put up. So yeah, I mean, if you guys like it, we'll maybe we can create a small fan base, and we will take questions and comments. We're going to get through all the. We didn't have we last minute put something up on Reddit today, but so we're going to go through those a little later. But yeah, I mean,
let us know if you like it, because if you do, we will do probably weekly or bi-weekly episodes of season 3.
So we'll try to get through every single comment.
Please let us know you like the sound of our voices.
Yeah, because I sure hate mine. So tell me I'm not crazy and hate my own voice.
So now, let's just do it. Let's do it. We're going to get into spoilers.
Which I feel like people are like, finally. Because I feel like people who watch this are listening.
I'll let the fans know to skip to this point.
They're probably the only people listening.
Yeah, that's true. So now we're
Leftovers. What's that?
Now we're going to talk about specific scenes, specific moments that grabbed us. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. So if you haven't watched it and you don't want to, don't know why you're still here, but thanks anyway. If you have watched the first 2 seasons, stay with us and let's talk about it. So let's talk, I guess, season 1.
Yeah, we'll just...
Specific scenes or moments that either grabbed us or we really enjoyed.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like to say that season 1, right out the gates, I like the pilot. It sets up everything, obviously. Oh, another weird thing, the girl who's in the pilot, I feel like was supposed to be almost the
Nora character?
The Nora character, and I think they just kind of recast it. Even though that actress comes back in the last episode of season 1.
The one which
lost her baby.
Car?
Yeah. Which,
oh, yeah.
But I really liked episode 1, and then I think it's weird. I kept with the show because I love the theme and stuff, but by episode 2, it kind of lost me a little bit.
True.
And if we're talking about scenes and the overall arc, the scene that hooked me, and it's the one scene that kills everybody, is Gladys.
Episode 5, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
episode 5. Because and this is funny because, and again, Jen is still at the
turning
table.
Point.
This was the turning point where she was done with the show, and I was on board 100%.
Yeah.
It's a very emotional scene because it's like I said, subtlety. So the Guilty Remnant the whole time have been very steadfast in what they do, what they say. Well, they don't say anything. Sorry, but you can't do anything to them to break their beliefs. Yeah. They will never talk. You can get in their face, you can yell, you can hit them with bottles. I think one gets hit with...
I think one time they spray them with a hose.
Yeah. And they never say anything. Yeah. And it was so crushing because then you have Gladys.
Watching her.
Yeah, tied to it. The group takes her, ties her to a tree, and just starts stoning her. And it's
goes on a long time. It's very uncomfortable.
And it looks so real.
And sounds so real.
Yeah.
The
sounds,
crunching. Oh.
And
yeah, the bones crunching was very visceral.
And it's, I was just going to say, the subtleties of it that kill it for me is that she's being beaten so bad, and then that's the thing that breaks her. Like, we've known this group to not be broken. You can't break them. They don't say anything. Yeah. And then she starts pleading for her life. Yeah. And it's heartbreak. Like, and I say that scene hooked me because it was like, okay, this show's gonna go places that like every other show's not gonna go. Like, it's gonna make me feel uncomfortable. And I was like, I'm hooked. I'm on board for this ride.
It made me super uncomfortable because like looking at Gladys was like looking at like my aunt, you know, like
she
the
looks
cast,
like a wholesome old woman.
Yes, the cast, the perfect victim, you know, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
she was a faithful lieutenant to Patty, and ultimately got crushed in the face, and it was really heartbreaking.
Yeah,
probably because I was like, going into the show, I was thinking to myself, why don't people just like, you know, kill them, you know, going around following you and being creepy and shit. They're just asking for it. And
we should say that we also learned that Kevin Garvey's wife, soon to be ex-wife, has joined the Guilty Remnant as well. That's a big kind of plot point as well.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. It was the scene that hooked me because Corey told me about the show. I checked it out. I was like, yeah, it's mysterious enough. It's intriguing enough for me to stick with it. So I got to that episode. And I remember the moment that I watched that scene. And I actually texted you and I was like, dude, I'm in. Yeah. Like, and I think I said those words. I was like, I'm in. Because it took that big risk. It went there. It made me feel so uncomfortable. But like, I wanted to keep watching.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think Evan said actually that he wouldn't have kept watching if I hadn't made him.
Yeah, that's true.
Just being honest. You should still watch it. But
I was pretty bummed out after that.
Yeah.
Like it really hurt me right in the feels.
And when I rewatched it with my roommate at the time, Andrea, I actually remember I came in and I knew she was on that episode. And I was like watching it with her, and I had to like kind of casually get up and go to my room for that scene because I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah,
that was it for me. I didn't want anything else to do with this show. I'm sorry. It's probably super interesting.
Yeah,
I'm done.
No, but that's good. We want your input into it. So you just couldn't handle it. It's too much.
It's too much for me. I'm not interested in anything going that dark.
Yeah.
You say that. You're like the biggest Criminal Minds fan of all time.
Rape is different.
Shamar Moore is coming back to Criminal Minds, so...
Oh, he is.
Oh, well, I'm in.
Like, you just, like... I like how you're just like, I cannot do The Leftovers, but you'll binge watch, like, SVU and, like, Criminal Minds. Like, there's no tomorrow.
Because it's
There's
not
some
gruesome.
sicko out there.
And
we have to catch him.
I guess you don't
that
get
was
this.
A little bit too, like, when that rock hit her last part of her face and basically lopped off half her face.
Yeah.
I don't need that in my life. That's happening to people in real life right
That's
now.
HBO.
And I don't need to know about it.
It's not TV, it's HBO.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the scene that hooked me, but not to dwell too much on that scene. But going forward,
it anti-hooked me.
Yeah,
but somehow was the same effect as a hook.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you stuck with it because of me.
But I feel for the most part, season one it's kind of a basic. It's not as crazy as season two is in. It's a very basic story about people trying to get over their grief.
Yep.
And you have the Kevin Garvey story.
And also his, like, sorry, his subplot of, like, you know, like, am I insane?
Yeah, it's always, and, like, the father, like, it's just like, oh, the father's insane, but, like, as the show goes on, we learn that, like, oh, no, these same things are happening to Kevin. One thing I thought was weird that kind of grossed me out in a weird way is that, like, the mayor was sleeping with Kevin's father. And I was that mayor is young, and Kevin Garcia.
Oh, Scott Glenn is an octogenarian.
Some girls are into that.
I guess. But
guy in uniform too.
But he looks like he's made of withered old wood. You know, like he looks like he's made out of, like, you know, driftwood. Scott Glenn is a old gnarly man.
But I guess, like, it all leads. I like the other B plot is the Wayne Gilchrist cult leader, and they mention that because of this, and it makes sense because of this happening, that a lot of cults have sprung up, because there's the people that like drop bullets on their head, and then there's even Wayne Gilchrist, he has a cult, and then the Guilty Remnants, the cult they follow the most, but like I guess that would happen in a world that like was like this. You would just like have these religious cults to try to find meaning, like preying on kind of this sadness and like unknowing, like that would happen. I guess it all culminates at the end of season 1 is the great reminder or whatever. The Guilty Remnant basically developed dolls that look like family members.
That was going to be my scene that I was going to talk about.
I don't think it was...
no, but it's perfect. Leads right into it.
I don't think it necessarily they developed them is so much that they were... They stole them.
That is true.
From a company which specialized in making highly lifelike replicas of loved ones so that they could bury them.
Yeah.
And so...
Yes, that's right.
That was the guy Nora met at the conference.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes. That... And I side note, I wanted to mention that conference episode was amazing.
Yeah, it's called Guest. Nora Durst goes to a conference and realizes that her name tag isn't there.
At that point is when I realized how much I loved Carrie Coon. And like that episode, I'm like, she's cagey. She's cagey like a fox. Like Nora Durst is like, she's just the greatest. But when the Guilty Remnant, so not only do you have the crime of them and the insult of them stealing the replica of the corpse of your loved one, then you have like the added insult of them like taking them and
putting them in your home.
Like it's at that point I don't understand. Well, actually, and they did at that point. I do understand entirely what the town did by forming that angry mob and
that's what spurred it.
But I really love that Maury with Amy Brenneman where she finally breaks. When she realizes she fucked up and Jill is still
in the house.
inside the fucking burning house. And she just screams her name.
Yeah, and we haven't heard her speak. I mean, other than that flashback episode.
It was
haven't heard her
powerful.
speak the whole time.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Yeah. And it's the subtleties. But yeah, you were going to say your scene.
I just want to knock off a bunch of Nora scenes because she's my favorite.
I will say, my favorite Nora scene is when she gets the guy to come over and shoot her.
That was it's the prostitute. So Nora deals. So Nora deals with her pain in a really weird way.
Fuck.
She hires prostitutes that she finds
she puts
online.
on heavy metal music.
Yeah. They come over just expecting another average day at work.
Please, some bored housewife.
She hands the prostitute a bulletproof... She puts on a bulletproof vest, hands the prostitute a gun, and I think she offers them $3,000, a lot of money, to shoot her in the bulletproof.
$3,000 is a lot of money?
I think it is.
Well, for somebody to shoot you in the chest. By the way, that's my side business. If anybody wants to, you can probably contact me through the
get
podcast.
Shot in the chest or just shoot.
No, someone. I will shoot people in the chest for $2,000. That's a bargain because.
But they had to provide their own bulletproof vests.
Yes, and I'm not responsible for any accidents, ricochets. Wait, might hit me up.
Yeah, so that's pretty fucked up. But
at hotmail.com.
God, gonna have to beep that again.
Yeah.
But Nora's my favorite, and there's all these kind of little Nora Durst scenes that I love, when she meets Kevin. So actually, they meet, and then they meet again when they're at the courthouse, both filing for divorces, and they kind of have this little flirtation, and Nora's like, you should. I was thinking I have this conference, but I kind of want to skip it and go to Miami. Do you want to come? And he's like, I have a daughter here. And she goes, fuck your daughter.
I love that.
And Kevin's just his face just drops.
What?
What the heck? And I just love her so much because she's so
awkward.
Oh, it's just so great.
She does a great job of, because she has to hold her grief in a lot sometimes, and sometimes she has to just let it go as well within terms of her character, but she also has to be this kind of meek woman who's always but she's also, her grief because she lost her whole family. She lost her 2 children and her husband. And she's kind of the talk of the town. She always, when she goes out, it's always somebody whispering to somebody else. Like, that's her. Like, her character, it's so
triple
tragic.
event.
Yeah. So,
she's just like, I don't give a fuck. And then, I mean, essentially, yeah, I mean, like, I love Kevin and Nora in season 1. I just love all of their interactions, just love them. But back to the dummy thing, one of my favorite scenes from season 1 is when Nora walks down the stairs and sees her whole family in dummy form, sitting at
around
the kitchen table.
Yeah.
And then the audio cuts out.
Yeah.
And you just see her screaming and crying. Like, it is absolutely gut-wrenching. And she does so good at it, and that's probably like my favorite scene.
Especially considering how long it lasts, because it's not just 1 2-minute scene. It cuts back and she's just sitting around the table
silently
holding their hands, you know.
It's kind of like she kind of got the goodbye that she didn't have before, because when her family departed, they were like in the middle of an argument.
Yeah.
And she was like pouring juice, and she was just like, it was just in the middle of a family argument, and I don't think her marriage was doing great at that point. And then poof,
gone.
They were gone. So I loved that moment.
So we should say too, by the end of season 1, the guilty remnant pull off the great reminder, but we're left with kind of this hope. Like, it's like the family, like, it seems like everybody's on the road to getting past their grief about everything. It's the family's kind of back together. Like, there's like the Jill was kind of weaning away, like, from Kevin and stuff. So it's the end, kind of, after having such a heart-wrenching season. It's almost like, well, at the end, it's almost like we still got each other, and that's kind of like
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I think, too, we kind of glossed over it, but Tommy has this whole kind of side story of going off and...
we haven't even mentioned that.
Yeah, we didn't even mention her.
with the baby that he has to take care of for, like...
But see, that's the thing. I think that was my least favorite part of season 1, was all that whole sub-story.
Yeah.
I liked Holy Wayne. Like, I thought he was great, but, like, I didn't really like...
I didn't understand how the whole story arc fits into the greater trajectory of the story's arc.
Well, it's like Holy Wayne is like impregnating all these women.
Yeah. The only really payoff to it was the fact that it kind of gave Nora a child at the end.
Yeah. Look what I found.
Yeah, I found a baby. I'm good now.
Oh my god.
And I think you said it too before, Corey, that like season 1 is like the stages of grief.
Yeah.
And that last scene is like acceptance.
Yeah.
Because Nora was gonna leave.
Yeah.
And she goes to leave a note on the Garvey's doorstep and finds the Holy Wayne baby. And I remember Evan, when he was watching it, Evan was like, look what I found. 2 seconds before Nora says, look what I found. It was just great. I think that, like...
It's mine now, by the way,
It's kind of like, in a season that was so dark and so heavy, it was kind of like a
really light note.
A sigh of relief in a way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, okay, everything's fine.
Jen, you can say goodbye to the podcast listeners. Jen is very tired.
I have to work in the morning. I love you all. Good night.
She'll be back on our next movie episode.
Yes.
But yeah, like I think the season 1 finale was a breath of relief. Because I think we feel like, okay, everyone has kind of a fresh start. Nora has a fresh start, and the Garveys kind of do too.
Yeah.
With this baby.
Well, that was supposed to be the ray of hope at the end of a very, very gloomy season 1. But anyway, it's a
heavy fucking season.
Yeah. Which I guess we got
Yeah, let's go into season 2. Moments from season 2.
Season 2.
So let's just a brief overview of season 2 before maybe we get scenes.
Spoilers. Yeah.
It's basically the Garvins move. Garvey. Garvey. Obviously, we've been drinking.
Yes.
They basically moved to a town called Jarden, which we said before is it's a town that had no departures, and it's almost it's like the ultimate tourist town at this point. Like people go there because they sell water from the river.
Yeah.
And
crazy amounts.
Yeah, and like it's big tourist attraction, and it seems perfect because there is no departure and stuff. Then we find it basically 3 girls disappear.
Yeah.
And
one of them being Evie from the Murphys.
And did you notice, I know Ev watches Flash, that Jessie Quick is one of the 3 girls?
Oh.
I did not notice that.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Jessie Quick. So,
she's too fast. That's what happened.
Yeah, there's that one scene where they're running around nude in the woods, which was...
What?
Yeah, don't you remember that? They're like just totally naked running through the woods.
The girls?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I was like, I don't get this, but that's fine. Oh, and we should bring up, this season starts with, it shows like a cave woman.
It does.
Yeah, with the river, because it's just trying to say that the river is somehow magical, and that's kind of what the season's around.
Also, there's a history of earthquakes at this river.
That's right.
Like it's a continual theme that comes up. Mystical earthquakes that happen.
And that opener... I will never forget sitting down just being stoked to watch
because you're like,
2.
what the fuck is this?
All I want to do is see Kevin Garvey in jogging pants again.
You want to see his dick.
And you sit down and you get this way big flashback from way back when, and you're just like, what the fuck is happening with these cave people?
Yeah. So basically they move to this town. They meet the Harvey family? Murphys. I don't know why I said Harvey. So they meet them. Their life kind of seems perfect. It's not. Their daughter goes missing with 3 other girls. Then some mystery of earthquake happened in the river that's supposed to be magical. All the water is gone. Kevin, kind of his family, you think he's in a good place. It kind of devolves almost his family situation. Nora kind of starts turning against him. Jill. There's a whole subplot where I guess we should bring up probably my favorite part of season 2 is where he goes to Virgil.
Yeah.
And Virgil keeps saying that he can fix him or something.
Yeah.
Because we forgot to say Patty kills herself in season 1. The guilty remnant leader. She tried to get Kevin to do it, but he didn't, and then so Patty just kills herself.
Slits her throat right in front of him, which is crazy.
So now he hears Patty, she talks to him.
Sees her, she haunts him.
Yeah, so this is very much like
especially
his
considering,
father.
at the end of season 1, Kevin gets Matt Jameson to help him bury a fucking body. Who do you call when you need a body buried? But the town priest. Yeah. That's the guy.
Well,
he'll keep your secrets.
He knows what's up with graveyards, right? He knows how to put somebody in the ground.
So, that whole subplot though of trying to banish Patty. And the whole journey with Virgil, sort of alludes to Dante's Inferno.
Oh yeah,
where Dante, visits the afterlife and goes through the levels of hell.
Yeah,
and is guided by the Roman poet and philosopher Virgil.
Oh, okay.
His literal name is Virgil, and I only learned this last night.
Nice.
From the Leftovers subreddit.
Well, yeah, in Dante's Inferno, there's this whole thing where there's these 5 rivers throughout the between all the different levels of hell. One of which is Lethe, which is this river where if you drink the waters of it, you forget your earthly life.
Nice. Wow.
Which ties in with that episode International Assassin.
Yes.
When
don't drink the water.
Virgil constantly reminds Kevin not to drink the water because it'll make him a permanent resident of this
afterlife,
this purgatorial hotel.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, so my favorite scene is when Virgil basically says he can do this for him. He kills Kevin, and then he shoots himself in the head. So it's just like, I'll bring you back, don't worry. And then he just shoots himself in the head. And then that episode ends, and you're like,
what
wait,
the fuck?
What's going on?
The actual fuck is happening.
So then Kevin basically goes to, I guess what we're supposed to understand is some type of limbo, purgatory.
Yeah.
In International Assassins, comes back to life eventually after vanquishing Patty as a little girl, basically drowning her well.
That was such a hard moment. Like,
oh yeah,
that whole episode where even where he's confronting grown up Patty and Dowd, was it in the hotel,
right?
Yeah,
and she says, I'm this other woman from, like, they found me on Facebook, they even got me plastic surgery to make me look more like a, and it's a great moment where you as the audience, along with Kevin Garvey, like, have to sort of like
do I kill her or not?
Is it because you're warned? She's gonna play tricks on you. Yeah. Is this actually her? Is this a game? Yeah. Is this real? And I mean, to be honest, Kevin Garvey again does what I would probably have done in the situation, and just be like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah. So basically, he comes out of that, comes back to life, which is kind of leads to. Actually, I don't even remember really where that. Like, he comes back.
He comes back. He then goes and finds John Murphy,
who confronts him about the handprint which was left on Evie's
and then
car.
that leads into the finale.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which we should say. Then we learn that. So there's been this all mystery about, like, where did these girls go? Did they depart as well? Like, what happened to them? And I will say, I've watched enough TV and movies and say them that I'm not shocked by many things. Like, I can kind of figure out most things. I did not see the fact that the 3 girls joined the Guilty Remnant.
Right.
And we're just waiting to kind of reemerge because there's this plan for the Guilty Remnant to kind of take down Jarden or just open the gates to Jarden. And the Guilty Remnant do this, and everybody kind of gets in. I should go back to the subplot with Matt. Matt's wife comes she was in a coma and catatonic. She comes out of that, but that's a big kind of FU to what's the Murphy name? The guy,
John.
Yeah, is it John Murphy? Yeah, because he the whole thing is with Jarden, isn't it like that miracles don't happen here?
He's under the there are no miracles in miracles.
Yeah, so it's it's very taboo that she has come out of this in Jarden, and Matt gets kicked out, and they both get kicked out or whatever, and that's a whole.
That's another standalone Matt episode. That's fucking phenomenal.
I have to say, I really enjoy the moment where I can't remember who it is. Is it Erica? Or is it someone else who tells off the guy who goes around slaughtering goats in various locations?
Yeah.
That moment, it's like, God damn it.
Just stop. Yeah.
Fucking stop. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because the whole time, from the first moment that happens, I'm thinking what the fuck? Someone stop this. This is insanity.
And again, it's what's her name? I'm so bad at the actors.
Regina King?
Yeah, Regina King.
Is it Erica who
She's fucking so good.
She's amazing.
And if I could pick one scene from season 2, it would be the scene with Nora and her talking. And they're talking, and Nora's kind of trying to ask Erica the questionnaire, the departures questionnaire.
Yeah.
And it is motherfucking intense. The camera starts panning in on their faces up close. So and I'm just give these 2 women awards. Seriously, they're, so good.
I love when she's, when Regina King, Erica's having a fight with her husband. She just takes her ear, because she has a hearing problem. She just takes her hearing aids out and can't hear. And
that's the way
I love that scene.
The argument.
So basically, we just to get through season 2. At the end, the girls show up with the Guilty Remnant, and the Guilty Remnant kind of break down the walls, get into Jarden. Everybody kind of just like engulfs Jarden.
Yeah. There's that awesome scene of Nora on the bridge with the baby.
Yeah.
So Nora has the baby.
Stupid rat lady.
And the rat lady is like, "That's not your baby."
Holy fuck.
Takes the baby, runs off the baby, then Nora sees the baby on the bridge.
Well,
then there's
that implies that the rat lady runs with the baby for like a certain amount of distance and then is like, "No, I don't want this thing anymore,"
and just
drops it on the bridge.
Yeah.
If you watch the footage, it shows that the baby's almost kind of being stepped on, maybe kind of being stepped on.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just like a glitch, in the
there's
CG.
there's theories out there that she was being stepped on, but not being affected by it. But I don't think that's
who knows?
Yeah.
But the whole idea is Nora jumps on her, protects her, and it kind of harkens back to that opening scene with the cave woman.
It did.
Yeah, and again, we should mention that we left the subplot out again that has Laura and Tommy. Like, Lori now has left the Guilty Remnant. She's wrote a book about the guilt. She's trying to turn people that are in the Guilty Remnant back to not being in it. Right. She writes a book about it. Tommy's helping her, and then Liv Tyler shows up, who's now the leader of the Guilty Remnant, apparently. Like basically has sex with him, and he's like, yeah,
absolutely rapes him,
almost lights him on fire, puts goes to light and says, "Tell your mom I said hi," or something like that, because Lori left.
Yeah. So anyway, that subplot. Lori comes back, kind of gets back in with Kevin in a weird way, but basically at the end of season 2, this is what I was going to say about both finales. Both finales are almost identical. Like, it's like they gone at the very end. It's this semblance of like, oh, family's back together, we're all cool again. Like, that's the one thing that's my one kind of down on season 2, is that like, this is season 1's ending. It's just done in a different way.
Fair enough.
And I think that's partly influenced by the fact that they weren't sure if they were going to have a third season, so therefore they sort of just were like, well, let's try and just like wrap this up as neatly as we can with the amount of like space we have left.
I don't think they are. I disagree with you.
You're wrong.
I don't think Kevin had it all together at the end of season 1. I think that I don't think he did. I think the journey that he went on in season 2 and going through the international assassin, the hotel, and then doing it a second time in the season finale, and literally singing his way out of there, homeward bound, with images of his family showing up, realizing I genuinely do love my family, and I love my whole family, not just Nora, not just like my whole family.
I get what you're saying, but that's kind of like, if there was no season 2, would you think that? Like, they have to, like, because that's kind of season 2, is that like, it starts off where Kevin's in a good place, but they have to kind of like give him kind of a journey, so they have to take that away from him.
Right.
So I feel like they gave it to him at the end of season 1. They had to take away in season 2, but kind of left him in the exact same place in the end of season 2.
I think that the difference would be his confidence and his control, because he actually conquered Patty.
Oh yeah, no, that's the end. Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's the transformation that might be different.
I just think under a microscope, if you look at both the seasons, they end almost identical to one another.
Exactly. Like, I'm with my family. This is where I need to be.
Yes, and also both seasons end with the Guilty Remnant kind of winning. Like, they do what they want to do. Yeah. Like, both plans are executed.
And I feel with Meg raping Tommy, it's full on rape. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So with that, and with season 3 taking place 3 years later, I feel, and I said this to Sarah, my prediction is that she's gonna have a baby. She's gonna have Tommy's fucking baby, and she's gonna use that against, like, Lori, against Tommy, against Kevin Garvey, at some point in the season.
Probably, yeah.
That's actually a really good prediction.
That she is going to have, like, it's like, this is your fucking, like, grandkid, Kevin, she's going to, like, fucking kill it in front of him, or...
I don't think she'll kill it.
Oh man,
I don't know.
I don't
we
expect.
would go that far.
I would not be surprised if they like push that boundary. You know?
Okay, before we get to our season 3, let's go over our favorite episodes from season 1 and season 2. And our least favorite. We should say, okay, so we're going to do our favorite season 1 episode, our least favorite season 1 episode, our favorite season 2 episode, and our least favorite season 2 episode.
Well, I will start by saying my season 1 favorite episode was The Garveys at Their Best. Episode 1, season 9 was, I think, an excellent episode, watching what each of the members of the main cast were doing on the day of the departure itself. The day would sort of like change the rest of their lives. It sort of explained like their guilt and their, you know, like the complications which resulted thereafter.
Well, exactly, because they were all doing things that might not be ideal. Like Kevin was cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
Nora was arguing with her family.
And Lori was having an ultrasound
with a baby that
she didn't tell Kevin that existed.
So it's like all of these departures happen in moments of like insecurity and exactly.
Yeah.
Which is really fucking cool.
I think maybe episode 2 of season 1 was probably my least favorite.
Exactly the one that I picked.
Okay, I picked that too.
That's
so
hilarious. Well, because I think generally speaking, and I think you guys might agree with me on this, like the first half is a little slow.
A little underwhelming at first before it picks up.
It picks up at the Gladys point, but yeah, I picked that one as well.
I do have to say I really enjoyed the subplot line of the Christmas baby doll.
Yeah.
Which Jill stole, and Kevin had to like, fine, I'll just go buy like another fucking doll.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, but I really felt overall, if we're going least favorite because season 1, because we all picked the same one, Pagan 1, a 0. The first episode was good and intriguing, not perfect, but good and intriguing. And then it really lost a lot of its momentum. Like it kind of, I don't like. It took me a little bit to get back in the third episode, but it was a lot of like the Meg stuff and
a lot. And I think there was that focus on Tommy as well.
Yeah, it really didn't catch me. Like it almost lost me, but. Yeah, that's my...
Essentially, like, you gotta have patience at that point. You gotta just stick it out,
which is,
as they say.
It shows how strong of, I think, episode 1 was. That I was like, I'm interested, but, like, now I'm a little bit disinterested, but I'll still stay on board because the premise is so strong. So, do you want to do your favorite season 1?
What was your favorite season 1?
Mine, I think, is pretty obvious. It's Gladys. It was, and that whole episode wasn't just the kind of story, but that's the one that hooked me. Like, that's why I picked that as my favorite season 1. Like, it's the one that got me on board. So that's...
Yeah. I have a top 3 because I couldn't
God.
necessarily... But I have the Garveys at their best on there, and I put number 1, 2 boats and a helicopter, which is the Mad episode.
Really?
Yeah. I loved that episode.
Season 1?
Yeah. It was fucking intense, man.
Yeah.
It was very action-packed and intense and just, like, it just kept the momentum up, and I think that's why I loved it. But I also said one of my favorites was obviously Guest with Nora.
Yeah.
Because I just love her so much.
Yeah. That was a powerful episode.
And
I really like that one.
It was just great.
So how about you, Gwen? What's your 2 favorites? Or... Okay, so
really?
Yeah, so your favorite was Gladys. That's what I had.
That's surprising.
So I guess we're right. That makes sense. So what's your least favorite? Penguin 1, us 0. So it's a 4-peat.
Episode 2 is not the best.
Yeah.
That's so funny that we all picked the episode 2.
Yeah.
Season 2, favorite and least favorite episode.
Ooh, favorite for me, you know what? I'm gonna be a total fucking noob and say International House was my favorite episode of season 2.
That's not being a noob at all.
Like I loved the episode from start to finish. I thought it was fucking amazing. From him waking up in that bathtub, sliding out all like a new baby kitten, like he looking in that closet, with the 4 suits.
Yeah.
You got the Mapleton police officer, which is his past life. You have
Guilty
the
Remnant.
white pants and white shirt, which is probably indicating the guilty remnant, obviously. Then you have the casual business suit, and then finally the priest robes with the Alpha and the Omega sign upon them. And of course, Kevin, looks in the closet bewildered and just chooses the casual suit because it's the most like obvious choice.
Right.
Not realizing that it's going to be like a frigging assassin.
Right.
Lots of people wear suits. Not just assassins.
And I think the thing too about that episode is that it was just so wildly different from all the other ones.
Yeah.
It just it's had this structure to it that you're just like, okay, what the heck is happening? And then there's music and there's fights. Oh, it was just
My least favorite episode would be No Room at the Inn, which was
the Matt one.
With Matt is just recreating the same, and you have to listen to that goddamn song so many times.
Let Your Love Flow. This is. I usually would say International Assassin.
All right, but you're going to be different.
I'm going to say the finale of season 2.
Don't let me. It's a great episode.
Because I think on the whole, it has quite literally everything I want.
I live here
in an
now.
episode.
Yeah,
I live here now.
For JT's
penis. Yeah, I didn't see that. But I love the fact that there's humor in this episode as well. Like, he comes back to the hotel and he's just like, motherfucker!
Yes.
One of my favorite moments.
Yeah.
I also really like it when he's on the hospital bed and John Murphy just says, I killed you.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, I love it. I just think it's one of the best. I just think, International Assassin is beautiful and amazing, and it could be like a movie on its own, but I would say on the whole, if I'm looking at the whole season, the finale.
And least?
Don't make me pick one. Probably the red, I think there's one called Red Tape. I think it's near the beginning. Probably my least favorite just because it's probably the least memorable. Right. But honestly, I can hardly even pick a least favorite because I love them all.
There's Orange Sticker.
Oh, Orange Sticker. Why did I say Red Tape? That was kind of close.
That's close.
Yeah, that's close.
Yeah, I had it in my head. Orange
Yeah.
Sticker. I think that's episode
3?
3?
Yeah, it's episode 4. So
4. Okay. I would say that's my least favorite.
So my favorite episode is a most powerful adversary.
Yes.
And that is the one where this is where it's going to shit for Kevin. This is where Nora leaves. Jill's kind of doubting him, and basically leads to the part that is one of my favorite scenes where the Virgil poisoning him and he dies. And it's the lead-in episode to International Assassins. And I'm going to go against popular belief.
Yeah, I can't believe you
Okay, and I will say you're really going against popular belief. Because
I know.
This is a critically acclaimed episode.
Yeah.
So Corey's...
Super critically acclaimed episode.
Why?
My least favorite episode. I'm sorry, guys. International Assassins.
It's your least favorite? Okay. Why?
It took me out of the main show way too much. If it wasn't an hour, I guess what I don't like, it's a show that, an episode that shows do that takes you totally out of everything. It's a total fabrication, and we know as viewers, or I do, sitting back, I know he's going to get out of
this. It's a dream or whatever.
Yeah, I hate episodes like that in general. I don't think it's anything against this. It's very well filmed.
Yeah.
Justin Theroux is a hairless, sexy man. That's fine.
But he carries with him information that he gleaned through the dream.
True,
into
yes.
real life.
Very much. But I guess I'm more of a component as well of stuff like this I rather not see. I would have been a lot more fulfilled if he just came back and he couldn't explain really what he did or how he came back. To show me it, I just didn't find it satisfying.
Took you too much out of it.
It took me out of the show way too much, and also, it's season 2 so rich with characters that I have a hard time being away from them for a whole episode. So, and I guess because it hit such a high point personally for me at the finale of My Most Powerful Adversary that it didn't pay off for me personally. I know I'm in the minority here,
Really
but yeah, International Assassins.
That's okay, guys. Comment
Yeah,
on it. Rip them apart.
I know. I get it. You can. I get.
think
like
your
people.
points are good points though, because you're right. It is so drastically different, and it's in this new place. There are familiar faces in it, but it's this whole new structure, this new tone, and it's so not what we're used to.
Yeah.
That it kind of takes you out of that, which I totally get. See, Evan just totally fucking loved International Assassin, but listen. We want honest feedback, so that's good. Yeah. I would say if anyone agrees with Corey on that, let me know, because
definitely let me know.
Convinced he's alone in the world.
I feel like I am, but that is my opinion.
Can I ask what you thought of the karaoke scene?
That wasn't in that episode.
Well, because he goes back. That was the second time at the hotel when he sings his way.
Oh, God. I know this is unpopular as well, but I'm like, it was so contrived to me. Like, I'm like, I get what you're doing. You're trying really hard, Lindelof. Like, to show it it takes away something from it for me personally, but that's just me. Don't hate me.
That is just him. I loved it so much. I cry every time I watch it, and it's just him singing and the look on his face and the fact that he's singing Homeward Bound and there's these flashes and you see Nora and I'm the opposite of Corey. I loved it.
Why don't we get into our Reddit?
Let's do it.
Sarah today, when we were this afternoon when we were recording the podcast, put it up on the Reddit of the Leftovers. To submit your questions, why do you love The Leftovers? Why should people watch it? Favorite moments from the first 2 seasons, favorite characters and why, and predictions for season 3. We like I said, we put up this. Sarah put up this afternoon. So, but luckily we got two comments. 2 comments, which the first one from K
Garvey.
Yeah, K Garvey, which he responded super early, and that's awesome. Thanks for both parties. Contributed to this.
Did you want me to read it?
Yeah, you can read it because I'm dyslexic, so
that's all right.
I'll just embarrass
okay.
myself.
We're not going to ask Gwen to read it. Right? Yeah. I don't think she'd be down. So...
Oh, she said she'll rewrite the whole thing. That's okay, Gwen.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Kay Garvey. So, first question was, why do you love The Leftovers? And he said... Oh, I'm assuming it's a he. Could be a she. I don't know. So he says, The Leftovers is masterfully
written.
Masterfully?
Yes.
Written, directed, and acted. It conveys human struggles and emotions that are typically veered away from in TV. Personally, the show resonates quite a bit with me. Totally agree. Second point is, why should people watch it? And he says, people should watch it because the second season is definitely among the best seasons of anything to air ever. Yes, agreed. Not exaggerating. Season 1 is great, but stumbles a bit with B-plots and pacing. Season 2 tells a fully realized story with great momentum and focus. Agree with that as well. And then the other question was the favorite moments. So he mentions season 1, Kevin's conversation with his father where he's offered the magazine and rejects it. It's a good one. And season 2, the entire arc of International Assassin through the end of episode 8.
Don't hate me, Kay Garvey.
I wonder if this is the real Kevin Garvey.
Yeah.
No doubt it is not.
Favorite characters. So he really liked Kevin Garney Sr. He says he's always been both the viewer and Kevin asking, what if he's not crazy?
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Which kind of proved right almost season 2 because Kevin Garvey Jr. started hearing voices as well. So
right, exactly. Yeah, that's an interesting favorite character because he's not like a main character, but he's definitely
he pulls a lot of weight.
Intriguing.
No, I like that. I like that off the norm.
Yeah, and then let's see here. So then his thoughts on season 3. So Kay Garvey says, I'm most interested to see how the characters who find out about Kevin's quote-unquote journey react, specifically Nora and Laurie. My prediction is Nora and Kevin will start to grow apart because of their wildly different ambitions in season 3. I don't know if you meant season 3 or not. That hasn't happened yet. But Though in the end, they'll probably be back together. And I agree with that because in the trailer, they don't look happy.
No.
She looks very unhappy.
She's smoking cigarettes.
Is she? Nora is?
There's an episode or part of the trailer where Nora is smoking a cigarette while sitting in a hotel room.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's interesting. So I actually do kind of agree with that. I think that it'll just be further challenges for them.
Yeah.
And I do think they can't end it with them not together. Like, that's just not... You know what I mean? They gotta end up together, right? Come on.
We'll get in that when we go season 3.
Okay.
Right,
or like predictions. But also, thank you, Kay
Garvey.
Like that. Like I didn't expect. I don't know what we expected to get back, but really went out there. Great post. Both posts were amazing.
And then, so I'll just quickly read NBTB, which was our other comment. So I read a part of his earlier, which was his thoughts on the show. But this is interesting. So watch people watch it. He actually says some people shouldn't. The show operates on a frequency that not everyone enjoys. You have to be okay with a little pain. But if you want a well-crafted story that respects the art of the individual episode, brought to life by the actors at the top of their game, scored with music that will make you cry buckets, then give it a go.
100%. Like, that's a great comment because, like, as we said, Jen gave up on whenever Gladys got stoned on the show, and then she gave up on this podcast by going to bed. So no, that's
it's gonna get one hell of a hashtag at the end of this one.
Yeah.
Woof. And then his favorite scenes. So he says that the last scene of the pilot, Kevin taking out his anger on the dogs. Oh yeah, the dogs. Nora back from her New York trip, smiling in the supermarket checkout lane. Kevin Sr. Saying we're in the fucking game now. So these are like kind of little moments that he liked.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
The town of Mapleton attacking the guilty remnant and burning the dolls of their loved ones. Lori setting up her deprogramming operation set to mad percussion. Yeah, that was the scene where she is in the car and she turns up the music and then runs over them. Yeah. And then he says, Kevin yelling motherfucker after he ends up in the hotel again. One of my favorite scenes as well. Ends up in there a second time, goes, motherfucker. Erica Murphy running across the bridge to Evie. Yeah, that's that scene.
Yeah.
Because, like, again, they cut out the audio in these scenes.
Yeah.
It's perfect. And I mean, they use sound so well on these shows. Like, it's definitely like a Lindelof influence thing because, like, I'm going to beat a dead horse, but the subtleties, like, everything doesn't have to be, you don't have to be hit over the head with it. You, like, these shows are so subtle, but, like, moments carry so much weight when you're not trying to, like, throw it in somebody's face. It's
exactly. Amazing, yeah. It's those little things. And he just ends it with the countdown going off, the reveal that many of the campers were the GR members in disguise, and Kevin finally reunited with his family. So yeah, it sounds like he liked the finale as well. Yeah. Last thoughts from him. He says everyone's fantastic and each serve a specific function, but the guy in the pillar redefined what it means to have faith.
Yeah, the crazy guy sitting in the middle of Jordan.
Yeah. And his predictions for season 3 is just balls out insanity and probably a kangaroo.
Probably.
I mean, animal imagery is huge in this show. There's deers, there's dogs. I mean, we got to see some kangaroos in season 3.
Probably.
All right, so we should get into our season 3
predictions.
I just like to go over. They've released. I think they're doing 10 episodes. I'm not 100% because Wikipedia they've already released the 7 names of the first 7 episodes, and
they often do that though.
Yeah, so I'm like, maybe it is 7 episodes. I don't know.
They'll probably release more.
Yeah. Can you read them?
I will. Episode 1 is called The Book of Kevin. Episode 2 is called Don't Be Ridiculous. Episode 3 is Crazy White Fella Thinkin'. Episode 4. Yeah, it's so weird. And it's even fella is an F-E-L-L-A. Yeah, white fella. One word. Episode 4 is called G-Day, Melbourne. So
Good day.
Yeah, oh, yes, I'm an idiot.
So maybe they're not even going to be in Australia until that episode.
Yeah, maybe that's kind of the trek to Melbourne. Episode 5 is called It's a Matt World.
We're gonna get a Matt episode, yeah!
Yeah, the most...
I love them.
Episode 6 is called Certified, and episode 7 is called The Most Powerful Man in the World and His Identical Twin Brother.
What in the fuck?
Yeah, so...
Is there only 7 there so far?
There's only 7.
Okay, let me tell you, if there's only 7 episodes, I'm going to be very upset.
There'll be
There's
10.
better be 10.
Well, you know what? I don't care about episode numbers as long as they can kind of wrap everything up. Like, I'm very excited for the season.
Yeah.
I have faith as a person who didn't hate the end of Lost that I have faith that this is going to be a good ending. But we should get into our season.
Just quickly, round table. Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Guess I'll start. I really don't want it to be overly religious, and I know that there's a lot in the trailers going that way.
I will say, not to cut you off instantly, but season 2 is a very good point as it deals with like faith in a weird way, but also there's people that are like, oh yeah, it's like there's a higher power, but also there's like a lot of people are like, no, it's science. Like it's science versus religion, and they do a good job of like not making it overly religious. It's only the people in the world, like this is what probably a lot of people would hang their hats on at this point. But anyway, sorry,
right? I know,
cut off here.
and I agree, and I just hope it stays that way.
Yeah, I think it will.
Not too religious. I think the Guilty Remnant is just gonna fuck shit up even more than they have in prior seasons. I think we're gonna see Meg coming in with this like new, probably extreme sector of the GR. I mean, obviously we saw in the trailer kind of they're writing messages in the sky and they're trying to convince people the end of the world. And I love the fact that they think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about that. Agree with the Kevin and Nora thing. We're probably going to see tension there just based on the scenes that I saw in the trailer. Don't know if it's like a situation of Kevin has to save everyone. I do think I think he'll have to die.
Well, it does show his father drown him.
Right.
So
we know he's going back to the hotel this once more.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would like to see more of Nora in season 3. Like,
of course.
I think it'd be pretty fucking cool if she went to the hotel. just throwing it out there, but
why not?
Hotel's not for everybody.
Yeah, could just be a Kevin Garvey thing.
Yeah. And Mary thing.
But honestly, it's really hard for me to predict anything because this show is just so like.
I have no predictions. I'm just a wait and see kind of guy.
I think it's just going to be just more extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not just we're trying to shock people, it's we're trying to convince people the world is ending.
I do think it's going to be satisfying.
I hope it's satisfying.
All right.
Question is what does a satisfying ending look like, though?
We'll see.
I guess my predictions for season 3, I feel like the baby's going to play a big part in it. I don't know why. Just because that's kind of a big thing on season 1, even though they kind of displaced this, as like, because there's a whole thing with Wayne Gilchrist saying like,
This is the bridge.
Yeah, and then it was kind of discovered that he had a bunch of pregnant, like, young girls.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's gonna kind of come back and actually the baby's gonna have some, like, I feel like there's gonna be something there. I think Kevin Garvey, because the whole, like, it shows in the trailer, like, a flood is a big thing. I actually think a lot of people, like you guys said, like him and Nora will be back together. I feel like at the end of the season he's going to be dead. Like dead, gone.
I think so too.
I feel like he's going to sacrifice himself in some way and it's going to stop the flood. I don't know how that's going to be. I'm not that great of a writer that I can really even tell you how you get to that point.
He's going to turn off the water in the hotel.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like that's going to play a part. I think Nora, she's going to be from the trailer, she looks like she's on a real downward, like, spiral in a weird way.
Yeah, she's like laying in a coffin. She's talking about death, and she gets that phone call at the end about, do you want to see your family again? So is she going to do something extreme at the risk of I might get to see my kids again?
Yeah.
Like, that's just, I'll just say I don't really want it to go down that road. Like, I hope it's just someone fucking with Nora.
Yeah. So, and I think my last thing is that I feel like the Guilty Remnant have to get some sort of comeuppance. Like, they've succeeded in the past 2 episodes. I feel like something has to happen to kind of take away from their
success.
Yeah, in a weird way. I feel like something's going to happen. But other than that, also, sorry, I do have another point. I can't remember the guy's name. They mentioned one episode, an immortal man or something in Australia. Obviously, they're going to Australia. Like David Burton. I feel like he's going to be a foil to Kevin.
What if we already met David Burton?
I'm going on.
Well, they said he lives in Australia.
But there's that guy who is British or Australian in both the episode International Assassin and in the season finale.
He's Australian, and he's the guy on the bridge, and he's the guy
on the bridge, and the guy.
I feel like he's going to be a foil to Kevin, almost like a weird like. Kevin's going to be the savior, and he's almost going to be an antichrist figure.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's. I mean.
And here's another cool thing about season 3 is that the dog killer Dean. Is actually he's in season 3. It's on. The actor is listed as in season 3, nice. So we're gonna see him again somehow. So
I guess that's.
It's gonna be a wild ride.
Yeah. I'm excited. Like we said before, we may spawn off of Intoxicated and do an episode for every Leftovers episode. So if that's something you guys are into,
let us know. Yeah. And then it'll be a lot more easy to digest rather than talking about 2 full seasons.
I know, because we got
episode to episode.
We got really rambly in this one. Like
it's hard not to though.
Yeah. But also I'd just like to say thank you, Sarah, for letting us vent about The Leftovers. This will be the episode after we did the Room episode. If anybody's listening to this and happens to like the movie The Room,
check that one out.
Check the one before. It's less rambling than this one. It's a great episode. Sarah did an amazing job editing it, and I say go check that out. Thanks for anybody. If anybody did listen to the last episode, and thank you so much for listening. We got listeners from the weirdest spots of the world.
Spain and like the UK.
And like Iceland.
Mind you, I mean like it's like one play or whatever.
There's
but
nothing
like
weird about those places in the world.
Nothing weird. It's just it
weird
boggles
that
my
somebody
mind
would listen to us. I think that has more to do with The Room than us, but thank you so much. It brings you here. Thank you so much for listening. This is a very unique podcast. Sarah does an amazing job. That being said, maybe I know I'm kind of bearing the lead.
Compliments coming. I'm good with them.
I'm kind of bearing the lead, but I'm like she does a great job interviewing her friends and stuff. But if some reason you don't like that, come back. We do a movie one every month. We're doing a Leftovers one right now. If you're into the entertainment aspects of it, just the movies or TV, we do just keep checking.
Seriously, like if you made it through this, you're a fucking trooper.
Okay, we need a hashtag. Oh wait, Gwen has something. She's writing hashtag don't waste your breath. So
yeah. If you got through this, send us a comment or a tweet or anything. Hashtag don't waste your breath. Thanks, guys. Whew. And let us know if you want to see a whole podcast dedicated to the last season. We're willing to do it.
We'll probably do it anyway. We'd like to get a lot more fan interaction. We'd love to hear from you. We're fans of The Leftovers, and we want to hear from other fans of The Leftovers.
Exactly.
I don't think we'll probably even do. Anybody submits a question, as long as it doesn't get too big, which probably won't, but we'll read your comments and give you a shout out on the podcast. So.
Yeah, and shout out to the Leftovers subreddit because it's
amazing.
It's the one thing that for me made the show so enjoyable. It wasn't just watching the episode and turning it off. It was going in bed and scrolling until 3 a.m. and reading all these comments and stuff. So.
Anyways, thank you, because I've regurgitated a lot of your guys' comments as facts of my own. Like, I think this is going to happen. And I was like, that was Reddit that came up.
They smart.
Yeah.
They smart, those Redditors.
So thank you.
Thanks, guys. That's it.
There's a reason for the sunshine sky, and there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when that love light shines all around.